There is one story that defines all of art nowadays, and that's of Manet and the Impressionists who followed him. Everyone knows the story. At the annual Paris Salon of 1863, a handful of artists who were rejected stirred up some controversy that made its way to Emperor Napoleon III. The emperor, being somewhat inclined to capitulate to public interest, decided that the rejected works would have their place easily accessible to the viewing public, that is, at the Salon de Refusés. And it's there where Edouard Manet's Luncheon on the Grass was unleashed on the world. With that, modern art begins. It should first be noted that the technical quality of the painting is not particularly high to begin with. Many of the trees are left smudged and unfinished, the central man's jacket is quite flat, and some of the objects of the picnic remain indecipherable. Here also begins what becomes a staple in modern art, leaving the brushstrokes visible. Around over half of the 5,000 paintings submitted were accepted to the Salon. That means Manet could not make the top 50% of artists. That's how poorly this painting was judged. Manet depicts a nude woman clothed among men staring at or beyond the viewer as the men continue their trifling conversation. A woman in the back is emerging from a bath in the lake, and the picnic, which the title of the painting indicates should be the subject, is tossed to the side haphazardly and uneaten. This is not a depiction of the Judgment of Paris, nor the story of Venus and Mars. No, this is a genre work, meaning that it's depicting everyday life, not mythology or history. But not only is the subject of the painting banal, a common picnic, but so too are the models. The men hardly appear as Hercules, and the woman has her hair tied up rather than flowing. Her rolls of fat are obvious to the viewer rather than hidden or substituted for a more fit model. And this is not an era where the standard of beauty is akin to a Peter Paul Rubens painting. Here is Alexandre Cabanel's Birth of Venus, which was submitted to the Salon the same year. Venus, the goddess of beauty, is depicted with a narrow waist and wide hips, with fair skin and long hair, noticeably without excessive rolls of fat. The centerpiece of Manet's painting is the nude woman. While the men prattle on in idle conversation, the woman looks away with disinterest, specifically either towards the viewer or behind him. Despite her nudity, she hides her most scandalous areas from the viewer, advertising herself to him. When a woman says no to a man, she elevates herself and invites the man to aspire to her level. When she prostitutes herself, as she's likely doing in this painting, she makes herself accessible and easy to attain. Rather than elevating the man to her level, she lowers herself to his. The objectification of women in all of today's media, from cheerleaders to tank tops and leggings to bikinis and darker parts of the internet, has its roots here, in the accessibility and ease of the woman's immodesty. Her legs are between those of Adam, the first man, an allegory made apparent by his pose. But he does not just represent Adam, he's also every man to whom he is pointing at, viewing the painting. In this painting lies the sins of the modern world. Despite the scandal that this painting caused, Manet could not sell it until 1878, 15 years later, for a mere 2,600 francs, about 10% of what he valued it at in 1871. The painting is not beautiful, although to be fair, it probably was not meant to be. Modern art, starting with this painting, is often meant to shock you, meant to break taboos, as if, of course, taboos were not there for any good reason. The great French writer Émile Zola once said that Manet's work was analytic, using a painting's story as a pretext to paint something or in a particular way, not the other way around. For example, this would be painting a nude woman because you wanted to paint smudges of the color tan, rather than painting smudges of the color tan so that you can paint a nude woman. The point of modern art thus becomes the technique itself rather than using the technique in the service of creating something beautiful. Thus, soon enough, the figures in the paintings begin to break down, starting with the Impressionists, moving to Kandinsky, and ultimately towards Jackson Pollock, where chaos, formlessness itself, is used as the form. Art has devolved into ars gratia artis, art for art's sake. Not art for beauty's sake, nor art for the sake of friendship, or courage, or honor, love, justice, or anything else beyond itself. Now art serves no purpose, no master. It's become solipsistic, creating and devouring itself. But no one's allowed to say this. We're supposed to keep quiet while the art world continues its money laundering and tax write-offs. Art, we are told, is supposed to be subjective, relative to each person. Well, if that's true, then this is the world we are destined for. A solipsistic, atomized world where each man is an island unto himself, a cosmos of chaos. A world of degenerate moral values, a world that lacks logical consistency, and a world without beauty.